Hey there, live from the Loft 100 studios in sunny San Diego, California. Big Biz Show's on the air. 110 million TV homes strong every weeknight. 150 radio stations, also in 175 countries and all the ships at sea. Sully Costa. And what used to be the day trader Quattro. You don't even notice that our keyboard player is missing. It's the DTT. DTT. Nice job, guys. Look here, Ben Errez is here. Ben Errez, the chairman and co-founder of RYVYL, RYVL. Of course, RYVYL. You are probably the most knowledgeable person I've ever met on the blockchain and on digital currency. Today, so far. Days young. Can you talk to us overall, before we start getting into RYVYL, where we're at with blockchain and digital currency? Because most of us, all we can hear about is how volatile investing in digital currency is. But it's much bigger than that. It's about an infrastructure of a new payment system. It's about an infrastructure of a new way to do business. And many countries are already leaning into it. Where are we on that scope? Are we, on a scale of Corfu to Afghanistan? Are we somewhere in the middle here? And number two, talk about where we're at overall. Are we ever going to get there?
So there's a lot of confusion, again, between blockchain and cryptocurrency. They're not the same.
Right.
Blockchain is an operating system. Cryptocurrency is an application on top of that operating system.
So the operating system is actually the infrastructure, correct? Okay.
So the infrastructure itself, the operating system, is here to stay. There's no question about that. We had an opportunity to dominate that space with a digital dollar or central bank digital currency that is based on the dollar as the fiat backing. Mm-hmm. We may not have that opportunity again. There's a big risk to our digital existence by way of BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China,
sure.
South Africa,
sure.
Huge risk to the dominance of the US dollar.
And of course, what he means by that, the US dollar is the global currency. Everything in this world is priced, all goods and services are priced in US currency right now.
Well, so the US dollar is the international acceptable currency
right.
For transactions. It's interesting, the last time I was here, it was just over 80% mm-hmm. of global transactions were quoted in dollars. Mm-hmm. If you look at BRICS, I just specified or quoted 5 of the countries that are part of BRICS, but they have 20 countries with applications to BRICS,
sure.
including our southern neighbor, Mexico.
Yeah.
These 20 countries together represent about 70% of the world transactional volume. That's a big number.
In the digital scope?
In transactional volume.
Okay.
The digital aspect of it is yet another risk because BRICS has its own digital direction, primarily based on the digital yuan. Who would have thunk that, 2 years ago, that France and Saudi Arabia would do oil transactions in yuan? Mm-hmm. It would be...
No one would have thought so.
Unimaginable.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're approaching the point where the US dollar is less than 50% of all transactional volume. If that happens, we would not be able to print our consumption anymore. Our total GDP is barely enough to pay the interest
sure.
on our national debt.
Sure.
And the reason we can continue to consume with reasonable inflation, some would say unreasonable inflation, is because we can print it. Mm-hmm. But what if we can't print it anymore? Huge risk.
So what's the end game, and what's the solution?
We have to participate. The next step locally in the digital movement is FedNow. But FedNow is probably 4 years late. The first generation of FedNow is coming out in July, and only 100 banks will participate. Too little, too late. We have to deploy across the board now.
First off, thanks for the memo about the black shirts, guys. Yeah, I feel kind of left out. Second
Looks
thing
better
is,
on us.
Second thing is, do we ever get that power back? I mean, are we at the point of, is there a tipping point that we're never going to come back from, or we're
So,
going
let me
to
ask
be
you
a
this.
follower and not a leader?
Yeah, so the same thing happened to Germany after World War II. Did they ever get back the power of the Deutschmark?
No.
It's a one-way street.
So what's the end result for U.S. economy and U.S. currency?
So, again, I'm not prepared to give you the direction. I think, for the most part, we already subscribe to a direction that is not in our favor. We need to accept that the world is going in the digital direction and lead it.
Right.
Right now, we're following, and we're following far behind.
But that's where RYVYL comes in.
RYVYL is one way to go, yes.
Talk about it.
So again, RYVYL has a small problem. Because of this connotation between crypto and blockchain, RYVYL, as a company with two separate businesses, a traditional payment processor and a new age tokenized blockchain processor, there is a sort of bleeding over of reputational risk. And we have to separate these two entities into two separate businesses, two separate listed companies. And this is where our spin-off come into play.
And at the end of the day, the two companies, one responsible for
One
transactions.
is standard transactions with no blockchain or stablecoin
Right.
exposure.
Okay.
And the other one takes advantage of the inevitable, which is the digital direction, tokenization of payment platforms. And no matter who wins, at the end of the day, someone needs to keep track of all of these transactions. Someone needs to manage the ledger. Someone needs to get all of these transactions in a single point of truth that is exposed to everybody. Everybody can go and look and understand the transactions, whether it's this digital currency or even if it is ending up being commodity.
Right.
Right.
Ben, what's the on-ramp like from where we are now to where we need to be? And is that something that we could apply velocity to, or is it, is it a 5-year issue? Should it be a 24-hour issue? Talk about the reality of that.
Yeah, so I think 2 years ago when I first came on this show, or maybe even longer than that, I said that, quoting my former boss, Bill Gates,
Yes.
right, saying we're underestimating where this is going in 5 years. Sorry, we're overestimating where this is going in 5 years, and we're underestimating where this is going in 10 years. I need to revise that. I think we're already in the second phase of that. Things are accelerating in an unimaginable pace. I'll give you one interesting example. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we had our earnings call last Monday,
Yep.
a week and a half ago.
Sure.
My portion of that call was totally done by AI. AI edited and produced that segment. I didn't say any of it.
Based
I
upon
didn't
data.
edit any of it.
Based upon available
It
data.
was entirely, we didn't announce it before, so it wouldn't be a suspected gimmick.
Sure.
But it was done entirely within 5 minutes prior to the call, all done by AI.
Before I let you out of here today, what's next for RYVYL for the next 9 months?
So we just announced yesterday that we're going to do a spin-off. A spin-off is a process that requires investment bankers
Sure.
and partners, a launch vehicle, and other components. So yesterday we have announced that we're doing a Coiny spin-off at approximately $200 million valuation with a $40 million raise. In the coming days, we will announce a few of the partners that join us on this journey. The launch vehicle, which is a shell public company, was already acquired, and it's now current and quoting. I'm happy to come
when
back.
do you start trading?
It is trading.
There we go. So Trace just wants to write down a symbol. That's all it comes down to. And we'll know that shortly.
Yeah.
Come back next week. Want to talk more about
Absolutely,
this.
anytime.
Ben Errez is his name. RYVYL is the company. Stock symbol R.
RYVYL.
BYL. Once again.
I don't ever want to see it again.
Thanks,
We're going
buddy.
to resolve. Thanks, buddy. More Biz coming up. Stand by. Costa, Sully, and the day trader Quattro.